For this project, I interviewed two teachers at my Bronx high school about their experience teaching ELL students. Ms. C is a content area math and special education teacher. Ms. B is a certified ENL and ELA teacher. I sat with both teachers separately on Friday, June 7, 2024. I've put their answers together for this presentation. How long have you been a teacher?
15 years.
I'm finishing my 12th year.
What is your educational background?
Started college at the University of the West Indies. Then I finished my bachelor's degree at York College. Then I got my master's at Hunter College.
Bachelor's from Queen's College. For my master's, I studied abroad in Poland.
What were your majors in your undergraduate and graduate studies?
My bachelor's degree was in mathematics. My master's was in education from Hunter. Then I got my second master's at the College of St. Rose in educational leadership.
At Queen's College, my bachelor's was in ELL education. My master's had a concentration in DSOL education.
What was your motivation for becoming a teacher?
I wanted to make a difference and impact students, and a part of that too was I wanted to be able to ensure that students had a better experience than mine.
My mother was a teacher in elementary school in Poland. There was nothing else I wanted to do. I love working with kids. I have lots of patience.
To the content teacher, how did you start teaching a large amount of English language learners?
Our school is 70% Hispanic, with about 20% of them being ENLs. And the past couple of years, with the immigration situation at the border, some students come having no English skills at all.
To the ENL teacher, why did you become an ENL teacher?
In my 20s, I traveled a lot. I've been to over 40 countries. I think my love of travel and cultures inspired me to teach ENL. I just love languages. I love studying languages and being a language learner myself. I can understand the process of language acquisition.
How long have you been teaching ELLs?
This is the only school where I've worked, and ESL students have always been a part of the population at this school.
There's always been ENL students in our classes. This is my first and only teaching position. Every year there's been an integrated class of ENL students, and it's been growing year to year.
Do you speak any languages other than English?
I know a little Spanish now.
English, Polish, and some Spanish.
Do you belong to any ELL professional organizations?
No.
Facebook groups. I follow a lot of ENLD Soul Facebook groups.
What type of ENL program do you teach in?
I do co-teaching, and I do reading interventions, small group instruction. So it's just me for those. With math, the ELL work I do is co-teaching.
Co-teach at least 2 ENL classes every year, where the ENL students are mixed in with native English-speaking students. Then my other classes are just regular ELA classes.
How many ELLs are in your program?
About 25.
About 2 dozen.
What are the requirements for placing students in ENL?
Pretty much they are given some kind of proficiency test. Or if they come as an immigrant, they have to be given the NICE SLAT. And based on their scores, they are given the support that they need. For instance, how much ENL instruction they get per day.
Going through a process when they first arrive at the school, going by records from their last school if they have them, and then by their performance on the NICE SLAT at the end of the year to see if they should stay.
Are there ever students who should be designated for ENL but aren't? Or vice versa?
No, because even when a student tests out of the NICE SLAT, they still need to be supported in many ways. Sometimes the ones who test out maybe don't get enough support.
Yes, sometimes a student is proficient in English but has not tested out of NICE SLAT. So they are receiving services unnecessarily. Some students have even missed the test dates, so for that reason they stay NL even though they may not need to.
Do you have multiple languages in the same classroom? If so, how do you accommodate them?
Mostly Spanish, but sometimes we have others. Like this year, I have a French student. Unfortunately, we have one teacher who speaks French, but the teacher speaks Haitian Creole, but the child just speaks French from France. So it's hard to translate with the different dialects.
Not in this school, only Spanish, although there's one French girl. There were some Bangladesh years ago, but now just Spanish.
What strategies are most important in teaching ELLs?
Simplifying the language as much as possible. Doing a lot of vocabulary. When possible, using symbols, pictures, graphs. Have them connect to something as opposed to long paragraphs. What works also is peer groups with students of similar languages.
Select words to translate, sentence starters, organizers, visuals, modified readings.
What does your experience tell you about your students' language acquisition skills and their learning?
Acquisition is funny because it comes more naturally when students are able to acquire their home language to get better at English. So you want to help them do both. Especially now we have to kind of teach Spanish and English at the same time because they have no background knowledge in English and very little school instruction in Spanish either.
Students need to feel comfortable and able to make mistakes. The most difficult thing students have, I've noticed, is getting the courage to speak. They often feel ashamed they're going to make mistakes in front of their English-speaking classmates. You need to create an environment where they feel comfortable and to practice speaking out loud. I show them I'm trying to learn Spanish. And when they see that I make mistakes and forget words they taught me the day before, they feel safer to make similar mistakes. That also helps me remember that learning a new language isn't easy.
Do you think ELLs should be required to take New York State assessments such as Regents?
It's a catch-22. You don't want to exclude students who are ELL from taking the Regents. There probably could be some exceptions in terms of graduation requirements for students on the lower end.
No, that's drama. I think there needs to be some kind of exemption for newcomers and the requirements to graduate high school. It's very unfair for the ELL students to sit for the Regents.
Have you had experience with ELL students who also have other learning challenges?
Yes, they just need more structured support. They need specific interventions. In the case of students with learning disabilities, it's not just the language acquisition, but there could be other factors that impact their ability to learn.
Yes, some students are SPED and ELL. There was recently a student, Jennifer, for instance, classified as both. And we didn't know what exactly it was that was blocking her language development. Sometimes it can be tricky to pinpoint the services a student requires.
Do you feel that ELL students are prepared to communicate effectively in English when they leave this school and go to college or careers?
It depends on their level of mastery. So students who attain a certain proficiency on the NISLAT, so they're expanding or intermediate, then they tend to also be more successful on the college pathway. We just need to make sure that all the students are prepared for alternate pathways as well. We have to make sure that students are provided with other paths than college.
No, I feel like they're still lacking. I think that maybe they can benefit from more support. Because we're not graduating them on the English level they should be. That shows college and career readiness. I can see them struggling in college. And often students don't go because of that.
What are the best things about your job?
I love working with the children. I love when I'm able to motivate kids and they're able to experience that and to get excited about the work when they understand it. I really love it.
Seeing students make progress and seeing students enter the class with barely any English. Then watching them make friends and participate in class and gain language skills that they might need for the future.
What are the greatest challenges about your job?
The biggest challenge is lack of motivation on the part of the students. Attendance is a big challenge. If they don't come to school, then they also lose content and it will create more gaps. So when you see the frustration, When you know that they're capable, I get frustrated because I know what they're capable of when they are here. You want to give them support, but they're not here. I would like to know more about why, but you don't always get the full story from those at the school.
Sometimes there's not enough support. Sometimes they're supported in different ways in different classes. So the ELLs fall behind in their subjects. Class sizes. Some classes are too large. There's no way they can learn in such a large class. Behavior for ELL students. Maybe they don't see the value in education, so some treat it as a joke.
What advice would you give to someone just starting out as an ELL teacher?
The biggest part of teaching kids is being able to connect with them socially. If you're able to connect with students socially, then the academic support will follow. See what they like. Use their interests to motivate them. Use the social knowledge you have about them to help them learn English skills and motivate them.
Try to learn a foreign language, because that always reminds us what it takes. Because sometimes you get frustrated with a student's speed. You have to remember that language acquisition is a process. If you try to learn it yourself, you can see what the process feels like firsthand.